Fox Sports.
Through the first two games at Chase Field, the Giants and the Diamondbacks are scoring runs. Brandon Belt has led the charge for San Francisco. Home runs in both games. For the Diamondbacks, a more balanced attack, led by Paul Goldschmidt's hitting streak and new acquisition Mark Trumbo. Game 3 from Chase Field, next on Fox Sports Arizona. Downtown Phoenix, we are here in the valley. A little chilly today, cool tonight inside Chase Field. The roof is open as we get set for Game 3 of this 4-game series between the San Francisco Giants and the Arizona Diamondbacks here on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Chase Field. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthume, Bob Brenly along the way. The Diamondbacks come from behind win over the Giants here last night was the talk of baseball today. But, Bob, it wasn't because of the comeback, but it was because of the replay challenge that helped it.
Well, it's a work in progress. We'll say that right off the top. Bruce Bochy, there's a saying in the game of baseball, hang with them. A batter hits the ball hard, makes an out, hang with them. Bruce Bochy said this was a hang with them situation with the appeal at first base. A.J. Pollock appeared to be picked off. Very, very close play. Upon review, the umpires decided that the call would stand. Bochy came out, wasted his one appeal, and later in the same inning, on a pass ball by Buster Posey, Pollock storming towards the plate. Matt Cain thought he had the tag down in time. He argued to no avail with Eric Cooper, the home plate umpire, and of course, because Bochy had already used his appeal on the play at first, he cannot appeal the play at the plate. Now, as I said at the top, it's a work in progress. Major League Baseball knew that going in. The managers knew it going in. Here are the way the rules lay out. One thing, however, my own personal opinion, plays at the plate, scoring plays at any point in the ball game should be reviewable whether you have an appeal left or not.
Yeah, heard this all day today. We now have expanded replay. There was a key play at the plate, but replay didn't get used, and that has to change, does it?
I think it does, but once again, Major League Baseball taking a huge step in the right direction. This really offended a lot of the crusty old people in the game of baseball, instituting replay, but with each season, I think we're going to see some tweaks and some adjustments, and eventually it'll get to the place where everybody's happy with the replay system.
Well, we're set for Game 3 here tonight. The roof open at Chase Field. Tim Hudson makes his Giants debut. Trevor Cahill on the mound for the Diamondbacks. A formidable foe awaits. The Diamondbacks have had a lot of trouble with Hudson over the years. We'll see if that can continue. First pitch coming up here on Fox Sports Arizona. Ball on Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by CenturyLink, your link to what's next, and by Jack in the Box. Try the new Bacon Insider at Jack in the Box. It's got bacon mixed right into the patty at participating restaurants.
It is Game 3 of this 4-game showdown between your Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants. The roof at Chase Field wide open. It is a little breezy, a little chilly. You know, we're spoiled here in the Valley of the Sun when 68 degrees is chilly, but that is what is happening here tonight. Tim Hudson makes his San Francisco Giants debut tonight. His first start since last July when he suffered that brutal ankle break when he was playing with the Atlanta Braves. Through the years, he has been an absolute D-backs killer, a record of 7-1 against the D-backs. His ERA overall at 2.18. He is 4-1 here at Chase Field. And look at that ERA here in Arizona, 1.87. Talk to some of the guys who have faced Hudson in the past, and they say he's a lot like last night's pitcher, Matt Cain. He's a veteran who is smart. He'll work you up. He'll work you down. He'll work you in and out. And so they're prepared. A lot of guys who haven't seen him obviously doing their homework today in the video room. But it is going to be a great game here tonight as Hudson returns to the mound for the San Francisco Giants. Lots of offense the last couple of nights for the Arizona Diamondbacks. They hope that continues tonight. It's Trevor Cahill for the D-backs and Tim Hudson for the San Francisco Giants. It's next right here on Fox Sports Arizona.
Field, downtown Phoenix. Trevor Cahill takes the mound. Game 3 of this 4-game series against the San Francisco Giants after the D-backs got their first win of the year in controversial fashion, certainly. Here last night. Got to watch out for this guy. The Giants, Brandon Belt, 2 home runs so far in this series, and he's batting second tonight in Bruce Bochy's lineup.
And here's how Bruce Bochy will line up the Giants tonight. Angel Pagan in center field leading off once again. That guy, Brandon Belt, hitting second. Kind of a quiet series here at Chase Field for Pablo Sandoval, which is always a good thing. Buster Posey cleaning up and catching. Hunter Pence in right field. Michael Morse in left field. Brandon Crawford at shortstop. Okay, help me out with the first name.
A-Ray Adrianza.
A-Ray Adrianza and Tim Hudson on the mound for the Giants tonight.
It's a nice team. They have Joaquin Arias and A-Ray Adrianza. Often batting behind each other. Trevor Cahill on the mound. He's your Arizona Ford starting pitcher. His second start this season. Rough time of it his first time. That was the second game in Sydney against the Dodgers. He lasted only 4 innings. There is strike one to Angel Pagan. We're underway against LA in Australia. Cahill, 5 runs, 8 hits. He walked 4. And his spring didn't go very well either. A Cactus League ERA of nearly 7. Broken bat. Top shelf, Aaron Hill has it. Trevor Cahill last year 8-10. The ERA just a tick under 4. First time in his career he did not make at least 30 starts and put up a double-digit win total.
He did finish the season strong, however. Over his last 7 starts of the season, he was 4-0 with an ERA of 2.20. We need him to be that pitcher all season long this year with the absence of Patrick Corbin in that rotation.
There you go. You see how well he finished. Last 7 appearances, a 2.20 ERA. Of course, that includes the win in that 18-inning game at Philadelphia when he came in relief and was outstanding on 2 days rest. And the shift is on for Brandon Belt, still trying to figure him out. 5 for 9 with 2 home runs in the series so far.
The thing that can be puzzling about Trevor Cahill, among other things, he pitched 4 innings in Australia through 89 pitches. For a guy that's supposed to pitch to contact, throw that sinker, get ground balls, that is an inordinately high number of pitches.
Goldie knocks it down. Cahill covers and they get him. Paul Goldschmidt displaying that gold glove at first base.
The shift on for Brandon Belt, who's really been pulling the ball hard in this series and tried to bang it right through that shift, but Paul Goldschmidt there to make the diving catch. Leads Cahill to the bag. A little bit of acrobatics as he got to the base, but manages to get the foot on there ahead of Brandon Belt for the out.
And you saw how quickly Trevor got out of the way there. You'll recall it was on a very similar play in spring training that he jammed his knee and limped off the field. So far so good. 2 up, 2 down. Here is Pablo Sandoval. Two and 0. The Panda last year 278. 13 of those 14 homers coming from the left-hand side of the plate. That's where all his power is. And Cahill, Bob, gets 2 quick outs, then he falls behind 3-0.
Falls behind a guy that would swing at the rosin bag if he threw it up there to the plate. Pablo Sandoval is not an easy guy to even fall behind the count against. He wants to swing that bat. Watch out on this 3-0 pitch.
Ball 4. 4-pitch walk with 2 outs. Say cheese.
Catcher number 28.
Here's Buster Posey. Last year 294, 15 home runs. Most of those in the first half. Buster Posey really wore down. Only 2 homers after the All-Star break last year. There's a strike. In fact, Bruce Bochy, just 4 games into the season, says he will rest Buster Posey tomorrow. Hector Sanchez will catch for the Giants. That's the afternoon game here. Sanchez had a good spring, hit .320, couple of home runs. Base hit into left.
Should have rested him tonight.
Their mid-first bank defensive lineup for the Diamondbacks behind Trevor Cahill tonight.
A couple of changes for Kirk Gibson tonight. We got Mark Trumbo in left field once again. Gerardo Parra in right. Tony Campana getting the nod out in center field tonight. Martin Prado and Cliff Pennington on the left side of the infield, while Aaron Hill and Paul Goldschmidt will man the right side. Miguel Montero off to a good start behind the plate for right-hander Trevor Cahill.
A look behind Gerardo Parra. You can see Gerardo's jersey there blowing. It is windy, breezy here and chilly. How quickly we get spoiled in the valley. Hunter Pence.
It's all relative.
It is.
60 down here feels like 30 everywhere else.
Watching shots of the White Sox and Twins playing on the south side of Chicago, it looked like a Bears game. He gets spoiled fast. Hunter Pence still looking for his first hit this season, 0 for 8 so far. There you go. She came prepared.
Maybe not quite that cold, but definitely need a jacket here tonight.
Look out for all we're missing is the seagulls from AT&T. Well, Cahill got the first 2 outs really quickly. A 4-pitch walk to Sandoval. Posey singled, and now he's behind on Pence, 3-0.
I mentioned just a few moments ago about the 89 pitches he threw in 4 innings in Australia. This is the kind of inning that will lead to high pitch counts. With 2 quick outs, an opportunity to get your team right back in the dugout quickly, and all of a sudden he's out there laboring with runners on base, working his way through the middle of the lineup.
Got the first 2 outs on 5 pitches. He's behind here, 3-1. Sandoval the runner at second, Posey at first. Lifted in the air, shallow left, Trumbo coming in. Long run for Mark, and there it is. Tracks it down, and that's the inning. The Diamondbacks' new left fielder ends the top of the first. Giants strand 2. When we come back, CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Paul Goldschmidt tries to extend his hitting streak to 24. Diamondbacks 40 hits through their first 4 games. That is tied for 3rd most all time, and only 1 off last year's pace. Serrano Parra is set to lead it off against Tim Hudson.
Parra at the top again against a right-handed starter for the opposition. Aaron Hill batting second. Paul Goldschmidt in the 3 spot. Prado cleaning up. It'll be Montero, Trumbo, Pennington, Campana, and Cahill making up the bottom of the order for Kirk Gibson tonight.
From Phoenix City, Alabama, 38-year-old Tim Hudson, 205 career wins. Tied with C.C. Sabathia for the most among active pitchers. He is your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for the Giants, and back from a gruesome ankle injury suffered in late July last year while he was still with the Braves. And he has owned the Diamondbacks. Hudson said he did not want that picture of the injury and being carted off the field to be the end for him, and so he's back now with the Giants to start his 16th season in the big leagues, and he'll work to Parra, who so far for the season is 5 for 14, his numbers from last year.
And because of that ankle injury, he wasn't able to participate in spring training the way he's used to. His normal routine of getting ready for a regular season took him a little bit longer to get his pitches honed into that strike zone, took him a little bit longer to get his legs in shape. Actually, his 4th start of spring training. I was talking to Mike Kruka, the TV analyst for the Giants side, and said in his 4th start in spring training he was scheduled to go 80 pitches. But his command was off. He was just missing the corners with the slider, just missing the corners with the sinker. So he asked manager Bruce Bochy, can I go back out? I feel like I'm really close. Went back out for the next inning, found the slider, found the sinker, and finished up spring training very strong.
Adrianza throws out Parra, 1 away. Mid-First Bank defense behind Tim Hudson tonight. And, of course, Hudson, that ground ball, sinker ball pitcher. Defense is important.
Yeah, especially on the infield. It'll be Morse, Pagan, and Pence left to right across the outfield tonight. Sandoval and Crawford on the left side of the infield. Adrianza and Belt on the right side. Buster Posey before a supposed day off tomorrow behind the plate for right-hander Tim Hudson.
And A-Ray Adrianza, our first look at him at second base for the Giants. We've seen Joaquin Arias, or I should say Arias, up until this point. Some debris blown out there on the field. Windy here tonight. Michael Morse adjusting his equipment out there. Now we're set to go with Aaron Hill at 291 from last year. Strike one. Funny what you were talking about. Bob Hudson did admit this spring, because of that awful ankle injury suffered last year, that he was behind where he usually was in terms of getting ready physically this time of year. So there was an adjustment for him, but he kind of joked and added, on the other hand, I've never been this old before either. So this is somewhat uncharted territory. He's 38 and he'll turn 39 in July.
That's funny. You talk to those guys that are in their mid to late 30s, sometimes even into their early 40s now, playing in the major leagues, and almost to a man they'll tell you they work harder now than they ever did in their career to get ready to start the grind of a long season.
Takes more to just meet the standard physically.
Well, yeah, especially for a guy like Tim Hudson, who's been so good for so long. He sets the bar very high for himself, and he knows where he has to be when he leaves spring training.
This was Tim Hudson. We caution you, this video is a little graphic, but we want to give you a visual picture of what he's coming back from. Eric Young Jr. stepped on the ankle late July last year, and that was Tim Hudson's season right there.
Well, that's something no player wants to be a part of, being carted off the field on a stretcher, but Tim Hudson determined to make a comeback. He didn't want that to be his lasting memory of leaving a baseball field.
And he had been pitching very well in the 2 months just before he suffered that ankle injury. An ERA well under 3 in 10 starts before the injury. 7 of those were Braves wins. 2-2 pitch. There's the strikeout.
First baseman.
Hudson will throw a two-seam sinking fastball, a hard slider, and I believe that was the split finger. He throws both a changeup and a split, and they're very, very similar in their action when they get into the hitting zone. Both off-speed pitches. The splitter has a little more downward movement.
Paul Goldschmidt, a hitting streak that has stretched across 2 seasons and 2 hemispheres. 23 games. And what a start to the season he's had. There's a strike. Goldie 8 for 18 this year. 23 games, one shy of Tony Womack's mark of 24, which is the second longest in Diamondbacks history. The record is 30. Gonzo did that in 1999. Hudson quickly ahead here, 0-2. Hudson was wondering whether he could. There's Gonzo with Derek Hall. Watching his record, he's probably getting a little nervous.
Telling you, he's taking batting practice. Ready to make a comeback if necessary.
Goldie lays off that one. Hudson was talking about coming back from such a horrific injury at the age of 38 and wasn't quite sure if he could. And he said what he loved about baseball and pitching is simple. It's the hitters will let you know who's throwing the beach balls out there, and everyone, including the pitcher, finds out together. And for him, it just boils down to one thing. Can I get this guy out at the plate? And when he swings the bat, does he make solid contact? And if the answer is no, then he's still going to pitch. In the air to right at Hunter Pence. That wind is tricky here. And Pence tracks it down. A 1-2-3 first for Tim Hudson. We are through one at Chase Field. No score on Fox Sports Arizona.
Half of the second inning. While we have a moment here, let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the game tonight, and we're going to focus on the Diamondbacks starting pitcher, right-hander Trevor Cahill. The keys for success for Trevor Cahill is to be able to command his pitches, especially that two-seam sinker. If he does that, he'll be much more efficient and be able to work deeper into the ball game.
He'll face Michael Morse, Brandon Crawford, and A-Ray Adrianza, 6, 7, and 8 in the Giants' second. No score just underway here from Chase Field. Ball one. Michael Morse, 13 home runs last year between Seattle and Baltimore, 1 for 6 in the series so far. Trevor Cahill was an outstanding student. Took advanced placement classes in high school. Actually graduated with a 4.6 GPA. And he turned in an SAT score better than 1900. He was a real thinker. Actually committed to attend Dartmouth and pitch in the Ivy League. But instead of going to college, he signed with the Oakland A's in 2006. And it's that thinking, that analytical mind, that kind of gets him in trouble. They don't want him to try and outthink these guys. Just use your stuff, as Bob was talking about.
Well, in that respect, he's a little similar to Wade Miley. You know, don't overthink things. Know what your strength is, and that's one of his strengths, pounding that sinker in on the hands of Michael Morse for a swinging strike 3 right there. Pitch to your strengths. Sometimes you can get caught up in trying to attack a hitter's weaknesses, and if that doesn't match up with the stuff you're throwing on the mound, you can really get yourself in some trouble out there. Just trust your stuff. Trust that it's going to be good enough to get hitters out. And for Trevor Cahill, that's pounding that sinker down in the zone.
Good start for Cahill in the inning. Brandon Crawford, the shortstop. Strike one. Last season, Crawford hit exactly what he hit in 2012, which was a .248 batting average. And in nearly the same number of games, 9 homers, 43 RBIs. He did not go, says Eric Cooper at third. Still filing in at Chase Field. Everybody's bundled up out there.
Good night for a hoodie.
Along the line in the left and drifting out of play. That's in the seats. Well, Mark Trumbo did a nice job, Bob, of tracking that fly ball down to win that last Giant inning there.
I was just going to say that. You mentioned it on the fly ball that Paul Goldschmidt hit out to Hunter Pence. So the wind is swirling around in here. We can feel it up here in the press box. You watch the players on the field. You see the wind flapping their pant legs or shirt sleeves. You're going to do some funny things out there tonight. You got to keep your eye on the ball and run on the balls of your feet.
Temperatures tonight could get below 60. Now, if you're watching on your computer or the package in Chicago or Minnesota, please forgive us. But this is Arctic for us here in Phoenix.
Stock up on firewood.
2-2.
It's a dry cold.
There, see? Aaron's from California. He's cold too. And that's from a guy that used to play in Toronto.
Well, from the looks of the weather reports for Denver this weekend.
This is a picnic.
Oh, I'm telling you. Play 2 in weather like this.
We are going from here to Denver and then to San Francisco for a 6-game road trip. And we'll see more of this. 70s during the day in San Francisco, but probably teens at night.
And some breeze and some moist ocean air. Yeah.
Some angry seagulls. 3-2 misses, and he draws the 1-out walk. Second walk of the game issued by Cahill, and that's something that has to improve. He threw 4 innings, as we mentioned, in his first start this year against the Dodgers in Sydney, and walked 4. And he's walked 2 now through 1 1/3 here. Brings up A-Ray Adrianza. Martin Prado sneaking in at the grass at third base. Adrianza last season just 9 big league games for the Giants, .222 with a home run. Last year split his time between AA and AAA. Played 45 games at Fresno and hit .310. Off the glove of Goldie at first. Still have time and have to hurry, and they get him at first. Nice job there by Trevor Cahill to get to the bag as Crawford advances. Adrianza can run, and that was close.
That was a nice play by Trevor Cahill. A lot of times when you see one of your defenders knock the ball down, you have a tendency to stop and watch the rest of the play. But Trevor continued on to first base. In the estimation of Pat Hoberg, the first base umpire, he was able to get a foot on the bag before the sliding Adrianza got there. Well, nice play by Goldie just to stay with that ball, too. Never quit on a play.
Appeared to get the call right. Just got that foot down before the hand got to the bag. Ball 1 to Hudson. And Hudson's a hitter.
Yes, he is.
He played at Auburn. He's an Auburn Tiger, and he can swing the bat a little bit.
He broke the single season RBI record of Hall of Famer elect Frank Thomas down at Auburn, so he can swing it.
It's all relative, of course. 158 last year, but compared to some.
He doesn't get as much BP as the Big Hurt did.
Probably not quite as good a show either. 3 home runs. Two and 2. Oh, that's big dogs, and that's where all the action is here. This has become a thing, as they say in the business. You may have read about it today on the interweb. The Diamondbacks' brand new D-Bat dogs. And that, of course, is the 18-inch corn dog stuffed with cheddar cheese, jalapeno, and bacon. You can buy it at Big Dogs right there at Chase Field. $25 a piece, comes with a side of fries. And they have been a sensation.
Yes,
they are selling out. 3 and 2 now. There's the strikeout. Second in the inning for Cahill. And they strand Crawford at second. When we come back here from Chase Field, the red-hot Miguel Montero just underway. No score against the Giants. And Diamondbacks no score. Hey, when the D-backs win, fans, you win at Papa John's. The day after every D-backs win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Just enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com. So today could have gone online, gotten 50% off your pizza from Papa John's after the D-backs win.
Who are you talking to?
You can only do it once, I guess, right? Did you try to do it more than once?
I'm waiting till post-game today.
Martin Prado, Miguel Montero, Mark Trumbo 4, 5, and 6 against Tim Hudson. Long-time Brave teammates facing each other here.
A little respectful nod from Martin Prado out to Tim Hudson on the mound.
.205 career wins, the most among all active pitchers, tied with CC Sabathia, who's been struggling. At least one start in for the Yankees this year. High chopper to short. Crawford has it. One away. That was bouncing up there.
Catcher number 26.
Miggy time.
Miguel Montero.
Very encouraging start after those numbers last year for Miguel Montero. You can see there he's had a good series, 3 for 5, including a home run. 5 for 14 on the year. There's a strike on one.
But if you were with us last night or here at Chase Field watching the ball game live, you got to see something that you rarely see. Miguel Montero drew 3 walks, the only 3 walks the Diamondbacks had in the ball game, and he had them all.
You were talking about why that was such a good sign.
I think it just means he's seeing the ball much better. Last year there would be times when I think he made up his mind before the pitch was even delivered that I'm either going to swing at this one or I'm going to take this one. But it just seems like this year he's recognizing pitches well. He's laying off borderline pitches that he chased last year. Seems to be very hitterish right now.
He's down 0-2. You hear that all the time. Can you give us a better idea of what that means? Guys say, I'm seeing it real well, or, oh, you know, I'm just not seeing it quite the way I want to.
When you're going well and you're seeing the ball well, you recognize what the pitch is sometimes before the pitcher even lets it go.
High in the air to right center. Pagan and Pence near the track. Pagan. 2 down.
Yeah, especially when you're facing a pitcher you've seen repeatedly in the past. You've got a pretty good idea of his stuff and his release point. And when you're seeing it well, you see that ball immediately. As soon as the pitcher shows the ball behind his back, you see the grip on the ball, you see the position of the hand on the ball, you see the release point, you see the spin, and it all seems to slow down. And that's ideal for a hitter. When you're not seeing the ball well, it feels like you don't even see the ball until it's right over home plate. And everything gets really, really fast.
Strike 1 to Mark Trumbo. Trumbo does have 2 career plate appearances against Tim Hudson. And he is 2 for 2 with a home run.
That's the thing about Tim Hudson, too. I mean, obviously, throughout his career, he's had great stuff. He knows what to do with that stuff, but he never pitches in patterns. He may start you with the changeup, finish you with the sinker. He may start you with the sinker, finish you with the slider. He'll throw any pitch in any count to any hitter.
Went down and away there, but missed. It's 1-2. And you know he has to enjoy working with Buster Posey back there. What a combination this is.
I mean, Buster Posey, one of the more unique players to come to the major leagues in a long time. When you come up from the minor leagues and you're immediately inserted into the 4-hole in the lineup, catching a great pitching staff, that tells you what they think of your present and future.
That's 3 ground ball outs through 2. When we come back, we will investigate further the $25 D-back dog.
A little chilly here. I was really excited to try that D-Bat dog, and believe it or not, we're here at Big Dogs. They are just sold out. They sold 300 opening night, 100 last night, 100 tonight. I'm here with Joe. You got the last D-Bat dog, and you got to feel pretty proud about that.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty proud.
Now, have you tried this before? Have you been to the ballpark and tried this? You know what this entails?
I haven't tried it. I wanted to, but they ran out on opening day.
You know that it's 18 inches of hot dog. You got bacon in there. You got cheddar cheese. You got jalapenos. Then they roll it all together in like a cornmeal. Then they fry it.
Oh yeah, it's basically a heart attack just waiting to happen. But I'm ready.
And they throw in a bunch of fries as well.
I heard the fries.
Now, you look like you're an athletic guy. You know, so is this part of your training regimen?
Not really. I haven't eaten all day. I knew I was going to tackle it today, so I haven't eaten in preparation for this.
Now, I guess the other question, you have friends with you. Is this just for you, or will you share this?
This is just for me.
Just you.
Yep.
$25, and you're gonna wolf it all down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm gonna hold this for you, and if you want to take a bite, fire away, man. It's the step up to the plate.
Let's do this.
Step to the plate.
Good Lord. Can we get him a forklift?
Oh, my. Now, I don't want you to drop that. It's the last one. Oh, Joe. What's your review? He says thumbs up, guys.
He hasn't eaten all day. He might not eat the rest of the week.
Thanks for being a good sport, and enjoy those fries as well, guys. We'll send it back. Sold out. So, and that's the thing. They're hoping for this when the D-backs head on the road that they can restock, because they're quite frankly shocked that people have taken to the D-bat dog as well as they have.
Well, Brad, this has become, as we mentioned earlier, a national story. Darren Orvell wrote about the D-bat dog today at ESPN.com. Business has been so brisk, they are running out.
Yeah, and so they're offering. I know one had a big, like a Sunday in an actual batting helmet. So people are hungry at ballparks.
Now we got the lowdown on what it takes. There he goes.
There it goes. Oh,
staggering off into the distance. 2-1 to Brandon Belt. As Brad mentioned, they sold 300 on opening night, and they had to turn people away last night due to short supply. And what they have to do is they have to get them ready. So they make 100 for tonight. They got another 100 ready to go tomorrow. And we're told they will restock before the next homestand, because the deal is each one takes 2 days to make. They have to be hollowed out and prepared, and then they have to be stuffed. And then the person that buys it gets stuffed, and they stagger back to their seat. But they have become a sensation.
We'll have to keep an eye on that young man.
Right field, Gerardo Parra. All right, let's monitor Joe's progress.
Well, no, we've actually found another D-back.
We've given up on Joe already.
To find one as well, you know, because they're sold out. So you got to feel not only proud but lucky as well.
This, I believe, was the last one.
They told you that.
And we're from Michigan, so we had to come to Arizona to get one of these.
How about that?
So this is when you think of desert cuisine, Arizona cuisine, you think of something like this.
Oh, most definitely.
And your name? Are you part of this endeavor here?
Actually, our son ordered this, and he's waiting down there on third base line.
It took us like 20 minutes to get it, so he'll be very happy that we get down there with it.
Well, enjoy and share that, because it's enough to go around, I think.
I think it is. We'll share a bit.
All right.
So much.
Take care.
Now, I don't know, partner. I can see a black market in scalping D-bat dogs here.
Yeah, you know, get one of those and put it on eBay. I don't know. It's StubHub. It may work.
Just knock on that door that's unmarked. Tell them BB sent you.
You got to be
Michiganders have taken their D-bat dog back to their seat as we get set for the bottom of the third. Hey, fans, for the thrill of the game, baseball finally here and happening all around us. So with your D-bat dog, grab a Pepsi and some friends. Get out to a D-backs game and live it. It's time to live for now. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the Arizona Diamondbacks. We back the D-backs with a D-bat dog in the front row. We'll keep an eye on that young man. Medical attention standing by. Here's the strike to Cliff Pennington getting the start at shortstop tonight. Here's my guy Joe. Met Joe a couple of times at Salt River this spring. He's ripping it apart like a Viking. Does it come with utensils? Apparently not. We're tracking. We're going to follow the D-bat dog from start to finish. He's dipping.
Oh, man.
0-2. 7 straight set down by Hudson to open the ball game.
Speaking of the D-bat dog, Tony Campana making his way to the plate is generously listed at 5'8", 165 pounds in the media guide. He could probably use one of those hot dogs to hit.
It's all right, just keep it on the ground and run it out.
Yeah.
Tony getting his first start tonight in center field.
And I think part of the reason Tony's getting the start tonight is because Tim Hudson's on the mound, ground ball pitcher. Tony Campana is a guy, as we've talked throughout spring training and last season, you want him to hit the ball on the ground. This could be a good matchup for him.
This is you see Pablo Sandoval in at third. This is the hard part about being a manager, Bob. You got A.J. Pollock, who had that really rough start to the season. Had the big night last night. Chris Owings has been hitting everything so far. But you got to get other guys in there too, so that means guys like Pollock and Owings just sit occasionally. It's a tricky call, isn't it?
It really can be. I mean, obviously AJ felt really good about his performance last night, helping the team win a big game. But you got to look at the big picture. You know, early in the season, I call it the March Madness syndrome. You know, it's win or go home. But then you start the baseball season, and you've got 162 of these to grind your way through. And I think fans and players and managers and coaches, everybody just needs to take a deep breath and relax it. Everybody's going to get playing time. Everybody's going to get at bats. And just because a guy that had 3 hits yesterday finds himself on the bench today, well, that's the way it's going to go from time to time because of the matchups.
So Chris Owings, a spectator today, along with A.J. Pollock. 3-1 to Campana.
You know, for younger players like Chris Owings, a day on the bench can actually be very productive. You know, you sit there with other veteran players, sit next to Eric Chavez, maybe even sit next to some of the pitchers, pick their brains a little bit. What would you throw to me in this situation?
That is on the ground. Adrianza has it from the right field grass. 2 down. Got a shot of Cody Ross in the dugout. Cody's been taking batting practice here every day. And when the Diamondbacks hit the road after tomorrow's ball game, Cody will start getting some minor league at-bats. And they could use his right-hand bat on that bench. There's no question. Trevor Cahill, 4 hits last year.
Yeah, depending on the starting lineup on a given day, you could conceivably have Eric Chavez from the left side and Cody Ross from the right side. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch for pinch hitting late in a close ball game.
Hey, remember the game in Sydney, the opener against Clayton Kershaw. The Diamondbacks needed a pinch hitter midway through the ball game, and Didi Gregorius had to go in there and pinch hit against the lefty Kershaw. No right-hand bat on that bench. Bounce to third. The Panda has it. And Tim Hudson has retired all 9 he's faced so far. The D-bat dog, well, it to be about a quarter of the way through. We're 1/3 the way through here. No score.
The Arizona Diamondbacks would like to thank all fans
Backs with the D-backs 4-game mini plan. The D-backs 4-game mini plan allows you to pick any 4 games this year and get discounted pricing on tickets. You can choose from the best matchups, the biggest events, or the hottest giveaways, like the Patrick Corbin bobblehead, courtesy of Arizona Sports 98.7. That's April 26th against the Phillies. Then there's the Gerardo Parra bobble. That's courtesy of St. Joseph's Hospital and Medical Center, Saturday, May 17th. More information at dbacks.com/4pack. Some bobbleheads coming up here. Patrick Corbin is the first one. He gets the first bobblehead honor. Got one up here in the booth, and it looks great. Speaking of looking good, Trevor Cahill has retired the last 5 Giants he's faced in a scoreless ball game, and he'll work to Buster Posey, Hunter Pence, and Michael Morse 4, 5, and 6 here in the San Francisco 4th.
Yeah, outs are outs, and you'll take them however you can get them, but it's odd to see Trevor Cahill give up 3 fly ball outs as he did in that top half of the 3rd inning. Pagan flied out to right, Belt flied out to right, Sandoval flied out to left. It's kind of odd to see a 3 fly ball inning for Trevor Cahill.
D-backs and Giants. We remember last year we had some couples therapy, I think, between a D-backs and Giants couple. There's a high strike, 0-1. The darkness.
Is Sid Finch? Is he making a comeback?
Well, April 1st was yesterday. The curious case of Sid Finch. 1-1 to Posey. One and 2. Gets the call from plate umpire Chris Guccione, who had a busy night last night at first base.
You mentioned last year Buster Posey kind of ran out of gas a little bit at the end of the season. With that in mind, he's kind of made some adjustments to his pregame routine. Doesn't take nearly as much batting practice as he has in the past. Does a lot of tee work in the batting cages underneath the stadium.
Another fly ball against Cahill. Campana tracking it down right in front of the pool. Long way to run, but he can cover a lot of ground out there. 6 in a row set down by Cahill.
Right fielder.
Tony Campana is one outfielder along with A.J. Pollock that really liked the bigger ballparks. You could clearly see him calling off right fielder Gerardo Parra as he got out near that pool area in right center field. Those guys that can run fast like big outfields. They like to showcase those legs.
The view from the pool. Hunter Pence. He flew out to left his first time. Yeah, you mentioned Buster Posey, Bob, really wearing down in the second half last year. Posey hit only .245 after the All-Star break with 2 home runs. He was exhausted. So Bruce Bochy going to try and get him more time off this year. And we talked about how Sanchez will start here tomorrow.
Obviously playing the most physically demanding position on the field and playing it pretty much every day. I mean, he'll probably end up catching 145, 150 games this year.
Right to Pennington at short, 2 down. Yeah, in the second half of last season, now keep in mind this is Buster Posey, a league MVP. Second half of last season, he had 9 extra base hits. That's a huge drop off. Hit .325 before the All-Star break, .245 after it.
Well, by all reports, talking to people close to the Giants, they say Buster Posey is very similar to Paul Goldschmidt in a lot of ways, but especially in his work habits. He's a guy that feels like he owes his teammates something every day he shows up to the ballpark, and showed that in his pregame workout and what he did on the field during the game. But you get to a point in your career where you realize the important stuff is what happens after they play the national anthem. So don't wear yourself out in the batting cage or in batting practice or catching pitchers down in the bullpen. There's bullpen catchers to do that. You save it for the game.
Another thing that Buster Posey did, kind of the opposite of Pablo Sandoval, was gain weight in the offseason. Put on about 10 pounds to help with that physical erosion over the long haul here, working behind the plate, really wearing down offensively. This is there to Michael Morse. It's 2-1. Morse struck out his first time. He's off to a 1-for-7 start to the year. Drop that one in there nicely, 2-2. Big loopy breaking ball there and a 2-1 count. Bounce to short. Pennington. Trevor Cahill in a groove. He has retired 8 in a row. CenturyLink, your link to what's next when we come back. It's the top of the order. Gerardo Parra leads it off. No score at Chase Field.
Half of the fourth inning. We were talking in that last half inning about the similarities between Buster Posey and Paul Goldschmidt, not only in the way they play the game, but look at the setup for the two hitters. Buster Posey on the left, maybe a little more open with the front foot, but both guys a lot of crouch in the knees, bat pointed down toward the ground behind him. Posey has a little bit more of a leg kick where Goldie just picks up that front foot and puts it down, but the results have been pretty much the same for both of these guys, perennial MVP candidates.
And it's funny, Goldie was asked what current player does he most admire in a recent magazine poll, and he said Buster Posey. 9 up, 9 down against Tim Hudson so far. Gerardo Parra leads off the Arizona fourth. There's the strike, 0-1. Parra grounded out his first time. Another D-bat dog. It's on its way. It's like getting a lot of very jealous looks. Onlookers are gathering to watch this. Parra, a little looper into center for a base hit. First Diamondback into the ball game against Hudson. Leadoff man aboard in the fourth.
Gerardo Parra finally breaks the seal on Tim Hudson here tonight. Let's see now, putting Huddy into the stretch. A lot of times a pitcher will get very comfortable in that windup with nobody on base. Gerardo Parra, a little bit of a jam shot, but finds grass out in shallow center field, putting Tim Hudson into the stretch.
Chance now for Aaron Hill, who struck out his first time. Each team with a base hit. The Giants have left 3 so far. Long look down to Glenn Sherlock at third. There's Joe. He seems to have finally finished off that D-bat dog. The Michiganders still working. They're not even halfway through over there. Now this is dog number 3. These are the recent arrivals. He's got a knife and fork.
I don't think there really is any protocol to eat the D-bat dog.
1-0. They are turning people away at big dogs here at Chase. They are lining up for these things. $25 a piece. They come with prize. Joe still working on that thing. Oh, the humanity.
I like the idea that Joe planned ahead. He knew he was going to wolf down one of those D-bat dogs tonight, so he decided not to eat all day, so he was really ready to go.
He won't eat all day tomorrow either. Parra moves up.
Well, when Tim Hudson's on the mound, very similar to Trevor Cahill, you know there's going to be some pitches in the dirt. The sinker, the splitter, the slider, all pitches that are designed to break down toward the ground. This one over in the left-handed batter's box. Posey just tries to reach across and pick it out of the dirt backhanded. It goes all the way to the backstop.
Behind Glenn Sherlock at third. 2-1 to Aaron Hill.
I tell you, as a catcher, there are days when you show up at the ballpark and you know who the starting pitcher is going to be, and you never really have an off day behind the plate. But some guys have such good command and control. They rarely throw the ball in the dirt. They're always around their spots, and it almost feels like a day off behind the plate. Then you have other days catching Tim Hudson, Trevor Cahill, guys that throw a lot of sinkers and splitters, as that one's grounded to third. And you know you're going to have a full evening's work back there behind the plate.
Here's Goldie.
First baseman, Paul Goldschmidt.
Paul Goldschmidt flat out to right his first time, trying to extend his 23-game hit streak and tie Tony Womack for the second longest streak in D-backs history. And that's how they will defend Paul Goldschmidt, with Parra on second and one out. Joe doing anyway? Have you seen him?
He's still smiling. Looks good.
I've met Joe a couple of times. He is a big D-backs fan, big time fan. Oh, 0-2. They're cheering him on. Come on, Joe. This is like a scene from Cool Hand Luke. Get mad at them eggs. Oh, 0-2 to Goldie. Got him. Third strikeout for Hudson.
Like Hudson took just a little bit off that slider, started it on the outside corner, swept it over into that left-handed batter's box. A little bit of an off-speed pitch for Paul Goldschmidt that time, just couldn't get it.
Lead run standing at second, 2 outs. It's up to Martin Prado. Grounded to short his first time. Strike one. Tim Hudson retired the first 9 he faced. Parra led off the inning with a single, advanced to second on a wild pitch. Hill grounded out. Goldie struck out. That's out of play. They got Hudson at only 2 3-ball counts so far. He's been ahead of these hitters all night long. .49 pitches, 36 for strikes.
Should be a fastball up here, I would think. So caught a lot more plate than he wanted that time. You saw Buster Posey go through a series of signs because of the runner at second base, but when he finished up, he put his palm and lifted it up in the air. Watched it, we just missed it there, but at the very end, he indicated to Hudson he wanted the pitch up. The only pitch you throw up in the zone is a fastball. You don't call for a changeup or a breaking pitch up in the zone. The only pitch you'll throw up high is a fastball.
You saw him come up with that crouch there too, and then had to duck back down to get the pitch. Another 0-2. Center field, Pagan coming in, and he makes the catch. Angel Pagan takes a run away from the Diamondbacks with a tremendous play in center field that ends the fourth. We are still scoreless here at Chase. Angel Pagan coming in, taking a base hit and an RBI away from Martin Prado. We'll head to the fifth, still one base hit apiece. Comes to Fox Sports 1, and it all starts this week, a doubleheader. Twins and Indians, Giants and Dodgers. Fox Sports 1, your home for baseball every Saturday. To find Fox Sports 1 on your cable satellite provider, just go to foxsports1.com. Good looking truck out there. Ram trucks. Hey kids. Brandon Crawford leads off the fifth. Cahill has retired the last 8 he's faced. Popped it up near the on-deck circle. Montero has room. 9 in a row set down by Cahill.
That swirling wind may have actually helped Miguel Montero that time. It looked like that ball was headed for the expensive seats over there on the third base side, but kind of blew right back into play. Miggy right there.
Brings up A-Ray Adrianza, the second baseman tonight. Joe still going there. This might be the last bite. He seems to be none the worse for wear, at least to this point. 0-1.
If he finishes the fries, he gets an honorary contract.
Did it take him a half hour? We timed him in the truck. Took Joe 30 minutes to eat a $25 hot dog. So it's probably like $1 a minute. So for value, I mean, you can't beat that.
And he is working on the fries.
Yeah, he's going to do the whole thing. The quarterback must go down and go down hard.
I would be very, very careful if I was the two guys sitting right in front of him there.
I don't want to get Joe his own section. They literally cannot make enough of those things.
No.
They are Down to about 100 a day because it takes 2 days to make one. And so we've got 100 saved for tomorrow. So if you come out to Chase Field tomorrow afternoon, Lincecum versus Arroyo in the series finale, get yourself a D-bat dog. There's one here right now with your name on it. The Michiganders, they seem to have polished theirs off. Three and two to Adrianza. Tim Hudson is on deck. That's the third walk issued tonight by Trevor Cahill.
A poorly timed walk. We talked about Tim Hudson, how well he handles the bat. He can swing it. He can certainly put down a sacrifice bunt. Never want to walk that number 8 hitter.
He walked Sandoval in the first, walked Crawford in the second, and now Adrianza in the fifth. And here's Hudson. Prado sneaking in there on the left-hand side of your picture. Adrianza takes off. Goldie coming in. He's got no play. Adrianza running on the pitch, advances to second with 2 down. Brings up Angel Pagan.
That shows the confidence Bruce Bochy has in his starting pitcher tonight to bunt the ball on the ground. When you start the runner like that, if the guy pops it up, it's an easy double play out of the inning. But Bruce Bochy knows what Tim Hudson is capable of doing with that bat in his hand.
Sacrifice 3-4. Pagan is 0 for 2. View from the pool where they're bundled up out there. Hard to first. It's through Goldie. They wave Adrianza. Here comes Parra. Here's the throw. And it's cut off. Giants take a 1-0 lead. He walks the 8-hole hitter, and it's a 1-0 San Francisco lead.
Left a sinker up and out over the plate. Pagan goes out and pulls it back to the right side. That ball just shot right by Goldie before he could even react. Got underneath his glove. Parra realized there was no play at the plate on Adrianza. Just lobbed it back into the cutoff man.
Just the second hit for the Giants. And here's Brandon Belt. Belt is 0 for 2. He has grounded out and flied out. A lot of room in left center. I know Belt has made a whole bunch of adjustments with his swing, and it's really turned him into a much better hitter as he pulls that one down the line with right to Aaron Hill. And that's the inning. But the Giants get a walk and a single. They take a 1-0 lead. now is the time for you to tweet us your photo. Just use the hashtag #DBacksFanPhoto. And you'll have a chance to get your fan photo shown on an upcoming Fox Sports Arizona broadcast. Brought to you by AT&T. Don't forget hashtag #DBacksFanPhoto, and we'll put them on TV. And when you're done with the best hot dog in baseball, the $25 DBAT dog, as Miguel Montero leads off the 5th against Tim Hudson. Wash it down with the best value in sports, the Chase Field value item, the $4 beer. So what you invest in the DBAT dog, you kind of get back with the $4 beer here. That is the best and cheapest beer in baseball right here at Chase Field. So we got you covered. Montero, Trumbo, Pennington, 5, 6, and 7. The DBAT dog may give a whole new twist to that whole Coney Island 4th of July deal. Let's see Kobayashi throw down a few of those.
I don't know. I think I'd put Joe up against him. Joe did a real nice job working on that dog, and as I said, he was eating all the fries too.
Well, it's a growing boy. 2-1. High in the air to left center. Pagan calls off Morse. That might be Mark Trumbo sitting next to Ryan Braun.
Left fielder, Mark Trumbo.
I see a little similarity there.
Yeah.
I bet the guy on the right can hit him a lot further than the other guy. Be nice to see one right here touch it off in front of the home fans.
It's funny, A.J. Pollock was one of the first to find out about Mark Trumbo's new power. A.J. said he was, out working out at Salt River this spring, admiring the length of Trumbo's homers during batting practice, and they heard it hit a car, and A.J. said, it hit a car. Got out there, guess what? It was his car.
Oh, that's karma.
Brand new Jeep. Trumbo
Ooh.
nailed it. And the funny thing was, A.J. thought he had parked far enough away to be safe, but turns out with Trumbo, you're never safe. So now A.J. during spring says he parks on the whole other side of the lot just to be doubly safe that Trumbo's not going to hit his car. 0-1. Towards second. Adrianza behind the bat. Takes a base hit away. They had him well positioned that time.
Yeah, from what we've seen from Trumbo, you better park over at the pavilions if you don't want to get your car hit with a home run ball. You can see Adrianza cheating up the middle. Not unusual with Mark Trumbo. He does hit the ball all over the field, but normally when he hits it on the ground, he's going to pull it to the left side. That time Adrianza cheating up the middle, right in the right spot.
Cliff Pennington struck out his first time. So far, just one base runner against Tim Hudson. That was the Parra single to lead off the 4th. Souvenir time. Great thing about the concourse here at Chase Field is you can stand in line for your souvenir, for your DBAT dog, for your $4 beer, and not miss the ball game. A lot of old ballparks, you got to go underneath. San Diego, Petco Park, you want food, you got to actually leave the playing area. You can't see the game, but not here at Chase.
Yeah, you can actually see the play on the field, or if you happen to be at one of the concession stands, there's plenty of monitors, so as you're standing in line waiting for your DBAT dog, you won't miss a pitch.
Or for the medical attention afterwards. 2-1.
Do they have a $4 Alka-Seltzer down there anywhere?
It should come with it, shouldn't it? You get fries. Rarely does it happen where you say we can't make enough of them. But that's happened with the DBAT dog. It has become a national sensation. 4 strikeouts for Hudson, who is rolling along. Only 1 base runner through 5. He leads it 1-0.
Guys quite a bit over the last few years, not as much as the Cardinals, but I've gotten to see them in playoff atmosphere, which is definitely a bit of an advantage, I think, just to have gone through those type of emotional and really gritty moments with a team like that. You know, they're a really balanced lineup, and they could put up a lot of runs at any given time, but, you know, you go out there and try to attack guys the way you have in the past if you've had success, and hopefully it works out.
Bronson Arroyo with our Geico quote of the game. Tomorrow night he makes his D-backs and Chase Field debut. Only a couple of starts in spring training, guys. Had a bad back, had an MRI, and they discovered a bulging disc, but he had an epidural. And really he's had a lot of high praise for this training staff led by Ken Crenshaw in terms of getting him back out on the field. In fact, while we did that interview, more of that tomorrow in the pregame show, he had a big heat pack on his back, but he says he feels great, anxious to go out and show his stuff. He's been, over the last 9 years, one of the best in the game in terms of quality and consistency.
That's right, Brad. 30 starts, 200 innings, mark it down, never on the DL. Not one time.
It has to be such a strange sensation for Bronson Arroyo, a guy that only goes into the training room to talk to his teammates that are getting treatments. And I don't even believe he uses ice after his starts. He's one of the rare pitchers that doesn't put an ice bag on his shoulder and his elbow after the game. So this is uncharted territory for him.
Big swing and a foul ball there by Pablo Sandoval. A little chilly here, as we mentioned, so the real long lines are, now that the D-bat dogs have all been sold out, is for coffee. Folks trying to warm up. Right to the front of the line here. This is a little bit, it's got an AT&T Park feel to it here tonight.
Without the seagulls.
Oh, goodness. I'll take a half-calf decaf. Frappa something. Paul Goldschmidt busy down there at first. One away in the 6th. So far, only 2 hits allowed by Trevor Cahill. He has walked 3. And one of those walks scored in the 5th inning. Adrianza walked with 1 out. Was sacrificed to second, scored on a Pagan single, and that's been all the offense. Diamondbacks have only 1 base runner, a Parra single to lead off the 4th. Here's Posey 1 for 2. One and one.
been a good pitch for Trevor tonight, getting back into counts, just rolling that breaking ball up there in the middle of the strike zone. Posey bangs that one right back up the middle.
Just the third giant hit. Posey has 2 of them.
Hey fans, we invite you to play Kachinko by signing up at one of the 16 interactive kiosks right here at Chase Field during any Arizona Diamondbacks regular season home game.
Long lines for the coffee. Bundled up.
You know, it's funny because normally we have a few days like this during the course of the Cactus League season, but this spring was just absolutely beautiful. Every day was better than the day before.
Remember, had the one day last year where it snowed.
Yeah,
it snowed out, and the Diamondbacks had to go across town and use the A's facilities over at Phoenix Muni. Hunter Pence 0 for 2 and 0 for 10 on the season so far, with Posey at first and 1 out. We did get lucky. Great weather in Sydney. That was nice.
I didn't pack right, but the weather was great. We were told it would be autumn-like when we got to Sydney, and it was more August-like.
Yes, it was humid. In addition to the souvenirs, you can get yourself some memorabilia. The Randall Delgado jersey, Patrick Corbin. Some framed pictures. 1-1 to Pence.
Did you happen to see Nolan Ryan's ceremonial first pitch?
I did not. Was that today?
Yesterday.
Oh, in Houston.
Up and in.
Because he's now a member of the Astros front office instead of the Rangers.
If there would have been a right-handed batter in the box, it would have hit him right in the back. Old habits die hard, Nolan.
I always remember every time Robin Ventura is asked about charging the mound, the White Sox manager, when he charged the mound on Nolan Ryan, he said to himself, as soon as he left, this was probably a mistake. And Nolan cleaned his clock.
Yes, he did.
The Alvin Express from Alvin, Texas.
A great experience of facing Nolan during the course of our playing careers, and you know, you're always warned, if you happen to get a hit, or God forbid you happen to hit one out of the ballpark, don't stand and look at it. Run the bases as fast as you can. So the one time I got a hold of one, he did me a big favor, by the way. To tell the whole story, he threw me 2 fastballs. I fouled them both into the first base dugout. I was so late, and tried to embarrass me with an 0-2 curveball, hung it over the middle of the plate, and I hit it out of the park.
Posey running with the pitch, and Aaron Hill can't quite get there, but they will get the force at second. Bad luck for Buster there. Aaron Hill almost made a tremendous play.
Left fielder.
A tough play for a base runner. I mean, you'd like to think that ball's going to be caught, so you retreat back to first base. But then the ball trickles out of the glove. Aaron Hill knows he's got plenty of time now to get the force play at second. Well, nice effort. He really hit the ground hard, and I talk about it all the time. That second base glove is not nearly as big as the other infielders or the outfield glove. There's not much of a pocket in it. Occasionally on a play like that, the ball's just going to pop right out.
Score that a fielder's choice. Posey out 4-6, 2 outs now, and here's Michael Morse. Aaron Hill's a very underrated defensive second baseman. He can make plays with the best of them out there.
That's not an accident. Every day we go over there to Salt River Fields to watch spring training, and a little half field as we walk in from the parking lot to the clubhouse, and Aaron Hill would be out there every day early taking ground balls.
So what happened to that hanging curveball that Nolan sent you?
I launched it. I satellited him to left field and sprinted around the bases. Didn't want to make eye contact with him. Didn't even want to look up. Showed the proper respect, and fortunately he didn't throw one right through me the next time.
Did you apologize for hitting it as you were running around?
Oh no, probably. I mean, you know, it was his mistake. You know, if he throw me one more fastball, Probably would have swung right through it or certainly fouled it off to the right side, but he did me a favor, speeded up my bat a little bit with that off-speed curve. Now, that was another very enlightening experience, too, walking out of the Astrodome after a Nolan Ryan start for the Astros. Probably a good hour and a half, maybe 2 hours after the game, and you could hear iron clanking in the weight room. And there's Nolan Ryan all by himself, gray t-shirt just soaked with sweat, doing a workout that most guys don't even do in spring training. And it was the middle of a long baseball season in Houston, Texas.
Campana came in, now backs up, and it's off the glove. Bad read by Campana in center. It carried over his head, and Pence will come all the way in and score. It's 2-0 Giants. Tony came in a few steps, realized that was hit harder than he thought, started backing up, and it was simply hit over his head.
Morse has been tardy himself throughout this series, but caught up to that one. Just tips off the end of Tony Campana's glove out there in center field. Just couldn't quite get it in the pocket of that big outfielder's glove. Rolls all the way to the barrier. Hey, Bruce Bochy's probably happy for that exchange, getting Buster Posey off the bases and Hunter Pence on the bases on that ball that Aaron Hill dropped. Not so sure Buster scores from first base on that ball.
So we get a pinch runner for Morse, who gets taken out usually after his third at bat of the ball game for defensive purposes, and Blanco will take over as the pinch runner at second. They score that a double and an RBI for Morse, and his night is over.
You saw Mike Morse right there. That was Mike Murphy, the longtime clubhouse manager for the San Francisco Giants. He was actually a bat boy when the Giants first moved west and played at Old Seal Stadium. And he's been with the ball club ever since. Murph. Everybody in baseball knows Murph. He's the best.
Oh, 0-2 on Brandon Crawford. Blanco stays put at second. Sanderson Ford, Diamondback bullpen. The left-hander Joe Thatcher warming up. Joe was loosening up last night, but didn't come into the ball game. One and two on Brandon Crawford.
Did you notice where the rest of the relief pitchers were as Joe Thatcher warms up? Nobody's sitting in those chairs along the fence where they normally do. With that low sidearm delivery that Thatcher features, that ball's probably whizzing right behind their heads. So they all get up and move to the other side of the bullpen while Joe's warming up. Plenty of good seats still available.
Yeah, usually they're all in those folding chairs lined up watching the ball game. There's the strikeout for Cahill. That's his third of the game, but the Giants get another run across. They lead it 2-0. Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you in part by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Cox Communications. Bundle and save with Cox. Back at Chase Field, Diamondbacks only one hit so far against Tim Hudson as they step up here in the bottom of the sixth, trailing at 2-0. Tony Campana will lead off the inning. Pitcher spot is due up and A.J. Pollock is on deck. Gregor Blanco, who came in a pinch run for Morse after the RBI double, stays in the game, and he takes over in left field. Campana grounded out his first time. He's 0 for 1. D-backs only one base runner against Tim Hudson, who continues to dominate Arizona. There's A.J. Pollock. He will hit for Cahill. Campana slaps it to left, but Blanco's there, 1 away. Tell you what, Tim Hudson, through his years in Atlanta, has been outstanding against the Diamondbacks. 11 starts coming into tonight, a 7-1 record in those 11 starts, and a 2.18 ERA. And he's been even better in this ballpark.
Trevor Cahill, number 11.
6 career starts here at Chase, 4-1, 1.87.
Not very many opposing pitchers can say they enjoy coming to Phoenix and pitching at Chase Field.
But for whatever reason, he is very comfortable here. Strike one to Pollock. Cahill's night is over. And I tell you what, Bob, with the exception of the 3 walks, Trevor really pitched a good ball game. Backhanded by Sandoval at third. He can really throw it down there.
Well, and for Trevor, you hope this doesn't follow the pattern that he fell into last year through no fault of his own. 8 of his starts, he received a no decision. The team record in those 8 games was 4-4, but his ERA 2.01 in his 8 no decisions. Team just didn't score runs for him at times last year.
And of course, the misplay by Campana in center really hurt him. But you'll pretty much take that from Trevor every time out. Here's Parra, who's got the only hit tonight. And since that single to lead off the 4th, Hudson has retired 8 in a row. He retired the first 9 he faced.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 6 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Well, he has been tremendously efficient, Tim Hudson, tonight. 68 pitches now, 49 for strikes.
It's rare you see pitchers blowing on their pitching hand here at Chase Field. Normally they're looking for a dry spot on their uniform to wipe the sweat off of their hands. Tonight trying to keep their hands warm.
It was a good signing for the Giants. They pounced on Hudson. They went after him. Immediately signed him actually before Thanksgiving. Gave him a 2-year, $23 million deal. Bumped it up the line. Will it stay fair? Hang on. Good thought by Parra there, with Sandoval back on the dirt at third.
Not only playing deep, but playing off the line. Real good attempt by Gerardo Parra. Just a little too fine down that third baseline. And Sandoval just shovels it over into the third base dugout once it was into foul territory. Good idea.
50-50 raffle time at Chase. Get in on that. Two and two. A fair ball. It gets to the corner. Parra takes the turn and heads for second. And Gerardo Parra has both Diamondback hits tonight. That's his second double this season.
Well, when a left-handed hitter waits as long as Parra does on this pitch, he makes it look so easy. The ball just got deep into the hitting zone. Just flip the bat out there, drive that ball down into the left field corner for an easy extra base hit.
And Parr is off to a 7 for 17 start to the season. So a 2-out base runner now for Aaron Hill, who's 0 for 2. That one bit Buster Posey just a little bit.
Defensive swing by Aaron Hill.
Oh no, caught Aaron actually.
Yeah, caught Aaron's back foot. Did get a little bit of Buster Posey's glove, but that splitter looked like it was going to stay out over the heart of the plate. And as Aaron started to swing, that ball really started to dive bomb inside.
And Rosewitz pouncing on that one. Our Golden Glover down the left field line. Nick Roberson working right field today. There's Dick in right field. And Dan down the left field line.
The righty and left and the lefty and right.
And Sherlock responsible for the runner at second with 2 down. Tim Hudson retired the first 9 he faced, gave up a single to Gerardo Parra in the 4th. Retired the next 8 he faced until Parra doubled. Trying to get the run home right here.
Hudson got away with one right there, and he knew it. That one just kind of hung up there belt high on the inside part of the plate. Those are the kind you usually don't get back. But Aaron Hill just underneath it a little bit, fouled it straight back. Watch Hudson as he comes off the mound after this delivery. Oh, he knows he got away with one right there.
Struck him out. That's 5 strikeouts for Tim Hudson, and they strand Parra. We are through 6. Diamondbacks trail the Giants 2-0. Visit starting Friday, April 11th, so be sure to get here early on Saturday the 12th for the pregame Street Festival, and then stay late Sunday afternoon when kids run the bases for Phoenix Children's Hospital. That's after the game. Visit dbacks.com/tickets for details, and we'll see you out here April 11th through the 13th when the Dodgers are here. snack time here at the ballpark.
Second baseman,
Hello. New pitcher for the Diamondbacks, the pride of Kokomo, Indiana. It's Joe Thatcher, the left-hander. A.J. Pollock, who came in a pinch hit for Trevor Cahill, stays in the game. Pollock now plays center.
And you would expect Thatcher to be in this ball game as long as he's effective up until Buster Posey's spot. You got Angel Pagano, switch hitter, in the leadoff spot, coming up in the third spot this inning. Much better from the left side. Brandon Belt, a left-handed hitter, and Pablo Sandoval, a switch hitter, much better from the left side of the plate. So Joe Thatcher, as long as he's doing what he's supposed to do, figures to be in there until we get to the 4th spot in the Giants order, and then we'll see.
He'll flip A-Ray Adrianza here, the switch hitter, to lead off the 7th. Thatcher, one of 3 lefties the Diamondbacks broke camp with. You've got Thatcher, you've got Oliver Perez, and you've got Ryan Rowland-Smith. 13 pitchers right now. And so it's a 4-man bench.
Well, one thing we know for sure after the series finale tomorrow, heading off to Denver, you're not going to take any pitchers off of that staff. I think we're going to stick with 13 probably through the road trip at least.
And that's when Cody Ross should be ready to be activated, hopefully. And we'll see what adjustments are made. Joe, last year 72 appearances were a career high between the Padres and the Diamondbacks, acquired at the trade deadline July 31st in the Ian Kennedy deal. So Ian pitching at Petco Park yesterday against the Dodgers, gave up a long home run to Yasiel Puig, but other than that pitched pretty well. Joe was not really effective as a Diamondback, but by the time he got here he'd already pitched in 50 games. But he's got a tremendous track record. He broke his back there. This was Cody Ross, speaking of which, earlier this afternoon.
For a guy coming back from an injury, this is Game 7 of the World Series right here. Every opportunity you get to climb in that batting cage, see some live pitching.
He's got the lamplighters behind him, too, as they were warming up for the national anthem.
At that point, Cody had to stop hitting.
Yes, he did. Kind of jammed up batting practice. 2-2 is just foul. And ideally, Joe Thatcher does not face right-hand hitters, as Bob was talking about. He's really a true loogie, the lefty one-out guy. You don't want him facing any right-handers, ideally. Come in, get 1 or 2 straight lefties, and move on. And in that role, he's been very effective. Just missed there, and it's 3-2.
Just missed off that outside corner. Boy, that's a nice try. Miggy tries to push it back toward the corner just a little bit more, but they don't get the call from Chris Guccione that time. Comes back with very nearly the same pitch in the same location. Adrianza didn't want to take a chance on taking that pitch again.
Joe Thatcher, an Indiana State Sycamore, was not drafted out of college, so he pitched independent ball. Got a chance to sign with the Brewers, went through their minor league system, and eventually became a very good major league reliever. High in the air, shallow center, A.J. Pollock. Calls off Cliff Pennington. One away. Hey, fans, don't forget, time to tweet us your fan photo using the hashtag DBacksFanPhoto. And if it's good, we'll put it on TV. It's a pretty good deal. Just tweet us your photo and use that hashtag DBacksFanPhoto. It's brought to you by our friends at AT&T. So I'm going to take a selfie. You saw the selfie that David Ortiz took at the White House with the president. starting next week, we'll put them on the air. Tim Hudson will hit here in the 7th. Giants and D-backs getting very familiar with each other early in the season. San Francisco playing 7 of its first 10 against the D-backs. And we'll head there next week after a trip to Colorado over the weekend. One more against the Giants tomorrow afternoon. We will have that game for you on Fox Sports Arizona. And then bundle up. We head to Denver. To second. Aaron Hill has it near the bag. 2 down. Rockies won today. They beat the Marlins in Miami 6-5.
You know how I feel about opening days and getting them out of the way and getting into the grind of the season. So it figures that the Diamondbacks are going to be part of 4 opening days this year.
Pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, over in Australia a couple of days ago, here at the home opener at Chase, Friday in Colorado, and on to San Francisco for their home opener.
Well, it's good for the trainers. And Crenshaw, Ryan DePanfilo, they get some face time. Get out there, get introduced. They deserve it. There's Ryan in the middle there. 0-1 to Pagan. He went, says Pat Hoberg at first.
Yeah, no doubt.
Did you like opening day as a player? But I know you want to get into the grind, and you've talked about that. But it must be cool to go out there in the white line and kind of tip your cap as they say your name and step forward and step back and do that.
Yeah, because I was always, well, almost always part of the rest of the team.
The non-starters.
Yeah. It was pretty cool to get to come out of the dugout and run up to home plate and shake the manager's hand and the number 1 hitter, the number 2 hitter, all the way down to the number 7 hitter. But most of the time I was with the rest of the team.
And the rest of the Toronto Blue Jays.
To right, Parr, the drop in front, land in for a hit. Pagan's 2 for 4. Here comes another lefty for Thatcher and Brandon Belt. We were talking earlier, Bob, about the adjustments that Belt has made, and it really has made a dramatic difference in his production.
Yeah, it started last season with his hands. He's a guy that used what they call a really strong grip. If you make 2 fists and put the big knuckles lined up together, that's considered a really strong grip. He kind of softened things up a little bit and lined up his smaller knuckles, which really allowed him to use his wrist, get a lot more backspin on the ball when he did make contact. But the big adjustment he made this year was with his front shoulder. He's always been a little bit closed as a hitter, but he went from that position to even farther closed.
Pagan running on the pitch, and he'll have the stolen base.
I mean, when you start with an initial closed stance and then go even further closed, it's tough to catch up. Yeah, Pagan just takes off on first movement by Joe Thatcher. No throw from Miguel Montero, no chance.
Boy, this guy I mean, he just makes him go. He made a tremendous catch early in the ball game in center field. He's got 2 hits tonight, an RBI, a stolen base. That's Angel Pagan. He can do a lot of things. And a chance now for Bell to make it 3-0. I know that the Giants coaches had started losing patience with Brandon Belt last year. He actually got benched late in July in a series in Philadelphia because he just wouldn't listen to what they were saying.
Well, a lot of times guys can get stubborn. They figure, you know, it was good enough to get me here. Why should I change now? But at this level, sometimes you have to change things that have worked for you in the past.
Tell you what, once he agreed to put into practice what they were suggesting, it really worked. He hit over 350 the final 2 months of last year. And he raised his average for the season by more than 30 points.
Well, didn't that also coincide with the time they called up Brett Pill, another one of their fine first base prospects, and it seemed to be about the time Brandon Belt took off.
Big strikeout for Thatcher. They strand Pagan at second. Century Link, your link to what's next. Coming up, besides Joe Borowski, Goldie, Prado, and Montero. Diamondbacks lead some runs.
7th-inning stretch presented by the Valley.
To Fox Sports 1. It all starts this week, a doubleheader, the Twins and the Indians, and that's followed by the Giants and the Dodgers. Fox Sports 1, your home for baseball every Saturday. To find Fox Sports 1 on your cable or satellite provider, go to foxsports1.com. We found Joe Borowski here in our booth, and Joe, we're looking for some answers to figure out Tim Hudson here. He has been dominant.
He has not missed a beat since being injured last year. Really dominant today in his first start since then, and just pitching down in the zone. Very efficient with strikes in the bottom half of the zone, and he's getting a lot of Diamondback hitters to just roll over a lot of his pitches.
Well, it's the heart of the order in the 7th. Goldie, Prado, Montero, 3, 4, and 5. 38 years old. They gave him $23 million, and boy, so far so good.
Joe, what's that like for a pitcher to come back? I don't know that you ever had any injuries to your right leg, but being a right-handed pitcher, breaking your right ankle, that's the foot he pushes off of. I can't imagine what that rehab must have been like.
Absolutely. And the first thing is you're going to have to test it. And that's the first step that you have to climb over. And just pushing off it, you're going to be a little tentative on it. And that's what could lead to other things. You just got to trust that you rehabbed it enough. They did a good job where you can just push off of it first time out, because you don't want to cause other injuries. You could change your mechanics, you could change your delivery, and now you're doing things that you're not accustomed to, and it could lead to other injuries. But you see, he really has not missed a beat, and that goes as a testament to him on how hard he worked to get back.
And this is his first regular season game since injuring that ankle late July when he was with the Atlanta Braves.
And there may be subtle differences that I don't notice, but he looks like the same guy he's always been. You know, he hasn't made any kind of an adjustment to favor that right ankle or take some of the pressure off of it. This is the same delivery we've seen from Tim Hudson since he pitched for the A's.
Fair ball down the right field line. Goldie takes the turn and heads for second. Paul Goldschmidt, that's his 4th double this season, and he extends his hitting streak to 24 games, the longest active streak in the major leagues. Just the 3rd hit for the Diamondbacks against Tim Hudson.
Third baseman.
Stays right on that ball. Foul line to foul line power hitter. Those are the most dangerous kind of hitters in the game. Slides into second and keeps the hitting streak alive.
24 now. That ties him with Tony Womack for the 2nd longest streak in Diamondbacks history, and is the longest active streak in the major leagues, carrying over from last season. Again, the record for the D-backs is 30, set by Luis Gonzalez. Prado, ball 1. Martin Prado 0 for 2. He has grounded out and flied out. Giants bullpen is still quiet with Hudson at 83 pitches. Joe, you ever face a guy that was a teammate a long time, and did it affect the way that you pitched him? Because Prado and Hudson played together for years in Atlanta.
Yeah, you're your best scouting report right there, because you watch him day in and day out. You know how other people get him out, and you know you're like, all right, I know what I'm going to throw when I face you. I know what you can hit. You don't tell everybody, but I watch. I know what you can hit.
That's where you can get into that thing, though. You can overthink it. He thinks that I think that he thinks that I think that I'm going to throw a slider here, but I'll show him.
I did that, I remember, with Miguel Cabrera, and I watched him play for an entire year. I played with him, and just an extraordinary hitter. And I got ahead of him 0-2, and I said, I know he's expecting me to throw a slider right here, because he watched me for a whole year. I tried to sneak a fastball by him and almost took my head off. I overthink it too much.
Giants bullpen gets cranked up now. 1-2 to Martin Prado. Right field, Pence makes a nice running catch. Goalie has to stay put. Nice play there by Hunter Pence. That gets behind him. It's an easy run.
You know, partner, we were talking last night about Dave McKay and the way he teaches base running to the Diamondbacks runners, and I mentioned the fact he likes the runners to hit the bag with their right foot. Now, this is Paul Goldschmidt on his double down into the right field corner, and notice he hits that first base bag, and look, his entire body is inside the baseline, making it very easy to turn and take that direct line to the next base. Is it a surprise that Paul Goldschmidt does that right?
I was going to say. And you were expecting what exactly?
Yeah.
It's a great example, and it saves you a step here or there. And as we found out last night, a step is the difference oftentimes. Miguel Montero 0 for 2. Lifts that one high in the air to left. Blanco's under it. 2 down. Here's Trumbo.
Left fielder, Mark Trumbo.
So when there's a guy like Mark Trumbo, who we know is certainly not an all or nothing hitter, but he is a guy who will strike out. He's also a guy that'll hit a 500-foot home run. Do you pitch him a particular way in this situation?
Well, just watching how he hit in the first game and the second game here at Chase, it looks like they're really forcing things down and away with him. They're not really trying to leave anything out over the plate, inner half. They're really making him try to just hit it the other way. And you could see as they shift on him, and as the second baseman plays up the middle and Belt is way off the bag, they're expecting him to try and pull that outside pitch, and they've done a great job defensing him.
See Adrianza right there, almost directly behind the bag at second. J.J. Putz warms up in the Sanderson Ford Diamondback bullpen. Neil Stoudemire Jr. alongside.
And notice the relievers are all back into their chairs now.
Ooh. He's gotten away with a few of those tonight. There hasn't been many, but he's gotten away with a few.
Hung that one on the inside part of the plate. He threw a splitter earlier to Aaron Hill that just kind of fluttered up there in the hitting zone. Aaron fouled it straight back.
Well, one more to this guy. It'll be 2-2.
Well, when you're pitching as well as he is, a lot of times you might get those ones back. I never got those back. But, you know, Tim's doing a good job of getting that second chance.
Well, when you're in command the way Hudson has been tonight, hitters are caught by surprise when you miss your spot that badly.
Pitch number 90 on the way.
May have noticed Buster Posey slid in on an inside corner, gave that low inside target below the knees off the plate inside, and that's exactly where Hudson threw the ball.
Again, we told you earlier that Mark Trumbo has homered against Tim Hudson earlier in his career. Very small sample size. Goldie at second after the leadoff double. So his hit streak now up to 24. That's 6 strikeouts for Tim Hudson. A strand to lead off double. Joe, thanks very much. We'll see you on the postgame show.
All right, guys.
Joe Thatcher, who worked the 7th inning, back out there to start the 8th. This will be his 5th hitter he's faced tonight. They want to flip Pablo Sandoval around to the right-hand side against the lefty Thatcher. Sandoval a much better power hitter from the other side. And with right-handers coming up next in Buster Posey and Hunter Pence, this figures to be the Thatcher's final batter of the evening. Sandoval so far 0 for 2. He did walk back in the first. Bullpen is still busy for the Diamondbacks. J.J. Putz was loosening up. He's been joined by Oliver Perez, the left-hander. It's a long night here for Joe Thatcher, but it's worked out matchup-wise. And if you have the choice, you want Sandoval hitting from the right-hand side. There you go. That's the second strikeout for Thatcher. Buster Posey coming up, and Kirk Gibson at the top step. He signals for J.J. Putz, and that's it for Joe Thatcher. Pitching change to Chase Field. We'll take a break. Diamondbacks trail the Giants 2-0. It's never too cold for Cold Stone.
I knew you'd like that.
Hey fans, FoxSportsArizona.com has all your online local sports coverage you just won't find anywhere else. Jack Gerter here again, writing that Mark Trumbo and Chase Field might be made for each other. We'll have post-game analysis from Tyler Lockman, reaction from the D-backs clubhouse, plus on-the-scene reporting from Craig Morgan and Randy Hill as both the Coyotes and Suns continue their playoff push. J.J. Putz is on to face Buster Posey. Giants have 5 hits tonight. Posey has 2 of them. He singled in the first and singled in the 6th. Looks at ball 1. Saw the numbers on JJ last year. 3-1 at 2.36 ERA. In only 40 appearances. Last year, elbow and finger injuries and some command issues. Bounce to shortstop, right to Cliff Pennington. And away. Make that 2 outs, pardon me. And here's Hunter Pence.
Right fielder.
That's what you want. Quick ground ball, 2 pitches. Hunter Pence still looking for his first hit of the season. He reached and scored on a fielder's choice back in the 6th. So far he is 0 for 11. So JJ, I guess, kind of a bullpen nomad until we get things sorted out back there. Addison Reed is the closer. JJ 77 saves during his first 2 seasons with the D-backs, only 6 last year. High chopper to Prado at third. Nice work by J.J. Putz. Couple of quick ground balls, 2 outs on 4 pitches. And we'll head to the home half of the 8th. Diamondbacks trail it 2-0. 2-0 lead. And Bob, no debate as to who would be our APS Energy All-Star tonight.
No question about it. This has been vintage Tim Hudson tonight. Not overpowering with the fastball, but tremendous command of 4 pitches. Throws any of them in any count. And as Joe Borowski said when he was in the booth in the 7th, just everything down, down, down. The only time he's gone up above the belt is by design, just to show some of the D-backs hitters a pitch up high and then right back down there again.
Cliff Pennington leads it off. Cliff 0 for 2. He has struck out twice. Pitcher spot is due up next. Chris Owings is in the on-deck circle. Off the glove of Adrianza at second base, and Pennington beats it out. Drifting away from Adrianza right there. He couldn't quite corral it. Still close at first. Ball was hit hard.
So a lot of times as a hitter, you'll stop. You see the defender in position. You see the ball go into his glove, so you break it down. But yeah, right there, just for a split second. Cliff broke it down, but able to turn it on again and beat this one out. That ball hit right in the middle of Adrianza's glove and just bounced out. I was talking about that small second baseman's glove earlier. May have been a factor on this play, too.
And he ruled that an error on A-Ray Adrianza. So the leadoff man aboard. Chris Owings hitting for the pitcher. And Chris has had a good series so far. 5 for 9. Two and 0. Hudson creeping up on 100 pitches. And the Giants bullpen is busy. Casilla, the right-hander. Lopez, the lefty, looks ready.
Lopez probably getting ready for Gerardo Parra should the D-backs have something cooking at that point. Also, Eric Chavez still available off the bench as a pinch hitter. And you've got that one lefty reliever in the bullpen, as Bruce Bochy does. You've got to be very judicious when you drop him in there.
Diamondbacks with only 3 hits. Parra has 2 of them. The hyphenator, Ryan Rowland Smith, the Aussie. Two and 2.
That's a good take for any hitter, especially a young hitter like Chris Owings. Split-fingered fastball that starts down there around the knees, looks like it's going to be a strike, and then just bottoms out, drops near the dirt. Real nice take that time.
An even 100 pitches for Hudson, 71 for strikes. Pennington, the runner at first. Seven strikeouts for Hudson, 1 away.
Maybe not as many ground balls and ground ball outs as we expected in this game tonight, but with Trevor Cahill against Tim Hudson, you're going to see a lot of ground balls usually because of this. That's a sinker that starts inside off the plate, works its way back to the corner. You can see the reaction of Angel Pagan. Lifted his hands, got his body out of the way. A lot of downward movement. And Tim Hudson all night long. Look at that tailing, sinking action on that fastball. Even though it's right in the middle of the plate, it had enough movement that Parra couldn't get it.
A.J. Pollock. Strike one. A.J. took over in center field for Tony Campana midway through. He grounded out his first time up. Diamondbacks tonight only 4 base runners against Hudson. Single and a double by Parra, double by Goldschmidt. Pennington reached on the error to lead off this inning. That one is driven to right center field, and Pagan tracks it down. He's had himself a pretty good night. Just hung up there for him.
Talked about those swirling winds throughout the evening tonight. Takes the hat right off of Angel Pagan, but never took his eye off that ball. Tim Hudson thought that one was maybe headed for the gap out there in right center, but the speed of Angel Pagan able to run it down.
And his night is done. 7 2/3 of outstanding work. He leaves holding a 2-0 lead. Fox Sports Arizona, Diamondbacks live pregame show at noon. And how's this for a pitching matchup? Tim Lincecum and Bronson Arroyo in his Diamondback debut.
I got to tell you, all the years I've been covering baseball, my favorite pitcher to watch on the mound was always Greg Maddux, because he was the master. But Bronson Arroyo was a pretty close second. I'm telling you, I love to watch guys who think and who create out there on the mound, and that guy is Bronson Arroyo. Change arm angles, change speeds, pitch to situations. He might throw one pitch 60 miles an hour, the next one might be 90.
Interesting to see him in his first game at Chase Field as a Diamondback, as Javier Lopez, the left-hander, throws strike one to Gerardo Parra. Parra has 2 of the 3 Diamondbacks hits tonight. He singled in the 4th and doubled in the 6th. And Arroyo comes at you with all kinds of different arm angles and everything. There's the numbers on Hudson.
Very unique high leg kick. Nobody else in baseball looks like Bronson Arroyo out there on the mound.
Towards second. Adrianza flips to Crawford for the force on Pennington, and that's the inning. We'll head to the ninth. Diamondbacks down 2-0. The 18-inch D-bat corn dog. It's our Chaz Roberts air conditioning cool plays of the game. We can only make 100 at a time. They're going like hotcakes.
What's your review?
There's Joe. He ate the whole thing and the fries. That's our Chaz Roberts cool plays of the game. Come on down, $25 gets you that, the corn dog and the fries. And for the first time in the major league since 2010, Ryan Rowland-Smith, the Australian left-hander, is on the mound. Last year, a converted starter, moved to the bullpen by the Red Sox and put up very impressive numbers pitching for the AAA Pawtucket Red Sox, a 1.55 ERA in 37 appearances. And he won a spot on the opening day roster here as he makes his comeback. 2010, he was with Seattle. He made 20 starts, went 1-10 with an ERA near 7, and then entered what he calls the dark years, a 2-year stretch bouncing around the minor leagues, landed on his feet in the Red Sox system last season, had a very good year at AAA, and here he is back in the major leagues at the age of 31.
It might be an understatement that he had a good year last year in Pawtucket. 52 and a third innings, gave up only 37 base hits, held the league to a 197 average.
Gregor Blanco. It really was quite a story. I mean, Ryan was rolling along at AAA, 52 and a third, 37 hits, and they needed a left-hander. Midway through the season, he was about to get called up and go to the major leagues for the Red Sox, the team that went on to win the World Series. But suddenly he needed an appendectomy. And that was it. He missed his window, he said. So the Red Sox instead had to go outside the organization. They traded for Matt Thornton in what would have been Ryan Rowland-Smith's spot. He would have been on that World Series team after trying to get back to the big leagues for, well, 3 years. But he's made it here this year in Sedona Red, 1-2.
Well, tough break for Ryan Rowland-Smith, but the Red Sox loss is the D-backs gain, having that third lefty down there in the bullpen, especially in the National League West with all the dangerous left-handed hitters that we're going to face this year. He's going to be a valuable member of that bullpen.
And he's very much like Oliver Perez, a longtime starter, and just recently converted into a lefty specialist reliever. And this is a guy who has come back from the professional brink. He said, I've dug myself out of the hole.
And he's learned over the last couple of years how to deal with pressure and failure. And that's why he thinks he was able to come back and have such a good year last year with the Red Sox organization. From New South Wales, Australia. Center field, right to Pollock. Hey fans, MLB.TV Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, celebrates 12 years, and you can join in. The millions of subscribers who watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices. Just visit dbacks.com for details. So Brandon Crawford steps in. He walked back in the second. He's 0 for 2. After that 1-10 season in 2010 with Seattle, Roland Smith got released. He has since pitched for 3 organizations in 3 seasons, all in AAA: the Astros, the Cubs, and the Red Sox. And last year was the first season in quite some time that he worked exclusively in relief, and that really seemed to make a difference. He kind of found a niche and had excellent numbers at Pawtucket. Hit hard down the right field line, but foul.
I was looking in the Diamondbacks media guide about Ryan Roland Smith. Graduated from Newcastle High School in Hamilton, Australia. He was their baseball player of the year as a 16-year-old and as an 18-year-old. What happened when he was 17?
Had an off year, I guess. And it was something for Ryan to serve as the unofficial tour guide on the trip to Sydney. He had a great time showing his new teammates around, and was really generous with his time and really enthusiastic about being there and being there with his team and the whole Diamondback family. Got to meet his dad and his sister down there. His sister still calls him Hyphenator as kind of a joke. He's got a Twitter handle that's -18. That's in the center for a base hit. Crawford's aboard. You just root for guys like this. They hang in and they hang in and they hang in, and it pays off.
At the plate, second baseman
And your entire mental approach to the game tends to change. If you've been through the kind of adversity that he's had to deal with throughout his career, had a little taste of success, had a little feel of what it's like to be a guy in the big leagues that your team is counting on, and then he's been on completely the other side of that coin where he was begging to find a job somewhere. And when guys get back to the big leagues after going through that kind of adversity, there's a better appreciation for what you're doing out there. Understanding how you fit in the grand scheme of things. It's not all about you anymore. It's about what can I do to help the team. And you really appreciate that opportunity to get back out there and compete with your teammates again.
And then to think you're back in AAA, you're really pitching well, and it looks like you're going to get an opportunity not just to get to the big leagues, but with a World Series contender, and then suddenly out of nowhere it's taken away from you again with the appendectomy. Popped him up. Pollock is there. 2 down. Now we're going to get a look at Brandon Hicks. He will hit for the pitcher. Brandon Hicks is another guy that's kicked around a little and finally found a job. Last season he did not play in the major league. Spent the entire year in the Mets system as Mike Harkey goes to the mound.
Well, for Hicks, it truly is a guy that won a job in spring training. Went to Giants camp as a non-roster player. Got to get playing 24 games, hit nearly 350, had 7 doubles and 3 homers, and earned his way onto this roster. Of course, the injury to Marco Scutaro helped him out a little bit, but as we mentioned in the first game of this series, it's going to kind of be a revolving door out there at second base for Boch unless somebody really steps up and takes charge of the job.
Hicks last year, AAA Las Vegas, hit .283 with 11 homers. Hicks is a guy who played at Sam Rayburn High School in Pasadena, Texas, and like Cliff Pennington, he's a Texas A&M Aggie. 3rd round pick by the Braves in the '07 draft. There's the strike, 1-1. And he's a guy that's hung in. He's 28 years old. He's only got 55 games of big league experience.
16 of those games came back in the 2010 season for the Atlanta Braves. How about this? In 16 games, he had 5 at-bats, was hitless, but scored 7 runs.
How is that possible?
Pinch runner.
Right.
He got to pinch run a lot.
1 and 2. With Atlanta in 2010 and 11, a little bit with Oakland in 2012, and the minors last year. Crawford takes off, no throw for Montero. Better safe than sorry at this point. It's full 3-2. Pagan on deck. Ball 4. Chris Guccione flinched a bit there, but it's a 2-out walk.
Good pitch, unfortunately not a strike. Just off of that outside corner. You hope to get the batter a little overly aggressive in that full count with the runner in scoring position. Maybe get him to chase that ball, hit it off the end of the bat, but a good take that time by Brandon Hicks to draw the walk.
So Crawford at second, Hicks at first, 2 outs. Pagan has singled his last 2 times up. He's got an RBI, he's got a stolen base, and he's got a couple of nice catches in center field. Basically your typical Pagan night. Roland Smith ahead 0-2. Ryan's a big guy out there, 6'3", 240. They still have faith.
Break up the Astros, huh? 2-0 against the Yankees.
They have a plan. This is upstairs, 2-2. Yeah, the Yankees had a rough time there. Sabathia, Kuroda.
Mark Burley with 11 punch outs in 8 2/3 tonight. The first time in almost 9 years that he's reached double digits in strikeouts. Talk about somebody pitching to early contact.
Ring him up and sit him down. Welcome back to the big leagues, Ryan Roland Smith. He strands 2. We go to the home half. The heart of the order is due up. Diamondbacks down 2-0. Second time of this series, we get a look at the San Francisco closer. Here is Sergio Romo. We saw him in the series opener. He came on to work the ninth and gave up a home run to Miguel Montero. A single to Chris Owings and then worked himself out of trouble. And he's on here trying to close out a 2-0 lead. He'll work to Aaron Hill, Paul Goldschmidt, and Martin Prado, 2, 3, and 4.
Another guy that probably doesn't fit the profile as a big league closer. Doesn't throw particularly hard. He'll throw as many sliders as he throws fastballs, but usually has tremendous control, with the exception of that slider he hung to Miguel Montero.
Yeah, that was a belt-high, hanging nothing ball, and Mickey didn't miss it. Aaron Hill 0 for 3, struck out twice. All the numbers on Romo last year, 38 for 43 in save opportunities. Drops that one in there, 1-1. Aaron, no luck so far with the Giants closer. This guy, he's got an ERA under 1 and 6 saves.
Unfortunately, saw way too much of Sergio Romo last year. I'll tell you what, though, in the early going, his slider is not the same as it was last year. He's thrown some cement mixers up there that haven't really taken the break. Some of them have been very flat in the middle of the hitting zone. Better one that time, trying to lead Aaron Hill off of that outside corner. But that slider was his go-to pitch last year. He would throw it in any count. He'd throw it on both sides of the plate. Really had ultimate confidence in that pitch.
Right to you, Brentley.
Oh, a little too high. A little too high.
Our tower up here doesn't get buzzed too often. Usually they go to the governor next to us.
Where there's no chance of it being caught.
Well, not with Candiotti asleep at the wheel. There is Leo Gilmartin on the far left of your picture, hovering over Candy and the governor. Don't forget Diamond Talk on 98.7 after the game. 2-2. Just missed inside. It's full.
Boy, you see Buster Posey holding that pitch out there for a long time, giving Chris Guccione a good look at what he thought was a strike. Just off the inside corner at 89, but that's what Sergio Romo will do. Change speeds on the slider, and just about the time he thinks you're looking slider, he'll try to sneak that fastball by you on the inside part of the plate.
Diamondbacks need a base runner here. Popped him up. Foul ground third base side. Sandoval drifting near the dugout. He's got room, and that's one away. Here's Goldie. Paul Goldschmidt has one of the 3 Diamondback hits tonight. He doubled his last time up, extending his hit streak to 24 games.
And we showed you the numbers for Romo against the D-backs last season. Goldie was the one D-back hitter that seemed to have him figured out. 4 for 8. He singled in his last 2 at-bats against Romo. Of course, Goldie's got just about everybody figured out.
Here are the numbers. Gets the call there, 1-2. Little sprinkles coming down now. It was raining on the drive in this afternoon.
With that last pitch, really pulled that slider over to the left-handed batter's box. He wants to give the illusion of a strike with that slider, get the batter to swing at it, and then have it sweep out of the zone.
He got him and he knew it. 2 down.
You rarely catch Paul Goldschmidt guessing on a 2-strike count, but he was fooled by that one, just could not pull the trigger.
So it's up to Martin Prado. Prado 0 for 3. Stick around for Diamondbacks Live as soon as the final out is made. Back with you tomorrow at noon for the series finale on Fox Sports Arizona. There's strike one. That is Lincecum and Arroyo in his D-backs debut. Toronto off to a 3-for-20 start to the year after hitting almost 500 during the Cactus League. Driven to center, that backs up Pagan at the track. He's got room, and the Giants win the ball game 2-0. Second save of the series for Sergio Romo, and the Diamondbacks, with only 4 base runners all night long, they did not get a base runner past second base tonight, as Tim Hudson was absolutely outstanding.
Yeah, unfortunately, over the course of a long baseball season, you're going to have games like this where you just run into an absolute buzzsaw. And Tim Hudson was as good as I've seen him in a long time tonight. D-backs offense just didn't have much of a chance.
Well, stay tuned for more Bob Brenly's thoughts on Diamondbacks Live postgame, which starts right now. Let's send it out to center field. And Joe and Jody.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Our post-game show coming up. D-backs Live presented by CenturyLink. Jody Jackson, Joe Borowski, and Joe. Wow, that's about all I can say about Tim Hudson tonight. You know what? Trevor Cahill, he pitched pretty well, but unfortunately the D-backs offense ran into their nemesis in Tim Hudson.
This is true, but one thing that did happen in this game is what I like, the pitchers duel.
Yes.
Both pitchers were really good tonight. We're going to break down both and see how they were able to be so effective.
Yeah, and we'll look exactly at Tim Hudson's numbers both here at Chase Field and against the Diamondbacks. Pretty impressive. Join us next. Joe Borowski, Bob Brenly will join us as well. The final here, 2-0 Giants over the D-backs. D-backs Live coming your way next.